All right, so in this video, I'm going to cover the 2024 script writing protocol that we follow. These are essentially going to be the guidelines that we use for every script that we write, at least every good script that we write that books meetings. Of course, there's certain cases where, in certain industries, certain ways you write an email may be better than others that I cover in this video, but generally across the board, all these rules, all these guidelines are going to be applicable to any industry and will get you results. So let's dive into it. So first thing is going to be like sub 70 words at least in the email, at least in the email body. You can have something in the PS if you want to, but ideally, you want to have your script to be less than 45 words. I think I've mentioned this millions of times, but you know, the shorter scripts always perform the best, right? Our best performing emails they're always like the one line emails. Those are always the best performing ones, or where it's just like it's just one sort of like long sentence. The body's only one sentence pretty much. Those are always the best performing ones. It just gets straight to the point, get straight to the offer. If you have a good offer, that's all you focus on is the offer. Or you can mention a case study, or you can basically just pitch the lead magnet right off the bat. Like for example, one of the best performing email frameworks that we use is for any time we're offering some sort of free work. Basically, we just reach out with a one sentence email saying like, "Hey, would you be interested in us doing like creating a free email campaign for you, or creating a free cold email campaign for you? Interested in free 5,000 leads from a lead list, things like that." And that's like the full email. And then what you can do in the PS, you can add like a case study. You can add more context to it, but like that sort of split in the text, where the main body is super short, and then you can have something below to add some more context. That framework works really well versus having both the lines in conjunction, like within the email. So super short emails, always the best. At least less than 70 words. If you have a pretty complex offer, you might not be able to only write it in 45 words. So again, it's all sort of industry and offer dependent, but ideally less than 45 words. Next is gonna be heavy spin tax. So I'm sure you guys have seen and heard about deliverability being very difficult now, and spin tax is the absolute key to having good deliverability because these ESPs are getting really good at detecting similar emails over and over again and detecting if they are cold emails. So making sure that at least every 5 words within your email has 1 point of spin tax is like the bare minimum. If you don't at least do that, you're going to be landing in spam. I guarantee it within like 2 or 3 weeks. So yeah, ideally you want like every other word to be spin taxed. You don't have to go absolutely crazy with it, as long as like there's two switching words between each email or between each word. You don't have to have like different variations of one word. You just need like at least two. But just having that all across the email is going to be absolutely crucial. Next one's gonna be strong offer. I mean, if you want your cold email to perform well, you have to have a strong offer. Like you can follow everything else in this protocol, but if you don't have a strong offer, it's just not going to work. I mean, you might still get some meetings, but you're going to have to push a lot more volume than if you were to have a strong offer, right? If you had a bad offer, is what I'm saying. So strong offer is absolutely crucial. I think everyone knows this at this point. And I mean, that's going to come from just testing and, yeah, going out to the market and seeing how they respond to that. So strong offer, obviously non-negotiable. A valuable lead magnet. So you don't have to do this every single email, but this always helps. If you're offering some sort of something that's in it for the prospect for them to respond, because the way you want to view cold email is not as you're selling them right off the bat from the initial cold email. You want to be essentially running them through the funnel to where really we just need them to respond and become interested in the first place, and then from there we can convert them by sending them some sort of lead magnet, offering some sort of free service, things like that. You just want to get your foot in the door at least, and the best way to do that with cold email is to offer a lead magnet of some sort, which that can be a case study, that can be a strategy guide, some sort of like playbook within whatever your service is. For example, let's say we reach out to like influencer marketing agencies, we might offer, because we created a full playbook for cold email, for influencer marketing agencies in particular. So what we'll do is we'll reach out to them and say like, hey, we have this playbook that we use to book hundreds of meetings for influencer marketing agencies. Would you be interested in seeing it? And that's obviously valuable, right? So yeah, valuable lead magnet will always work. It's always going to boost your positive reply rates. So I definitely recommend doing it. But the thing is, if you have an amazing offer, you don't have to do it. So yeah, and then the next thing is going to be mentioning a industry relevant case study or pain point. So again, you don't have to do this in your cold email, but this is just another point of leverage within the email that will make it better. What I like to do in my emails, so let's say like I'm writing a one line cold email. I want obviously if you try to mention an industry relevant case study and then also mention lead magnet and then speak about your offer, all this stuff, it's gonna be too many words. So what you want to do is you want to lead with the offer and then in the PS you can add some sort of case study. Or if you're gonna do a pain point, you wanna lead with the pain point first and then transition into the offer, right? The thing is with the pain point, you really need to make sure. I mean, with both of these, honestly, you need to really make sure that these are super relevant to their industry. Because if you just mention some general pain point, like let's say they're losing money on ads, like hey, do you think you're losing money on ads? Like that's so basic. I mean, obviously, a lot of or brands are losing money on ads, or companies in general are losing money on ads. But it's like you need to become very specific, and you also need to reach out with them. So if you're gonna leave the pain point, you need to mention how you noticed the pain point in the first place, like what were indicators of that specific pain point that you noticed, and then mention the actual pain point itself, and then of course dive into your solution, into how your offer will solve that pain point. Right. With the case study, you just want to make sure it's like as relevant to the industry and niche of the prospect as possible. Because I mean, mentioning a general case study nowadays, it's like it doesn't really hit. So you want to make sure it's super relevant for it to really be effective. Next thing is just going to be using GPT-4 for market research pre-copywriting. So this is especially important if you're working with like a really complex industry, or you're dealing with like an offer that's difficult, like let's say a consulting offer. That's something that's super hard to write copy around. So that's absolutely crucial to do some sort of market research, and you can use obviously ChatGPT to help with this. It's super easy. Just go in there, ask them like where are specific pain points of this industry. Tell the GPT like, hey, you're an outbound expert. You need to somehow craft a message that's going to resonate with whatever industry you're targeting. Things like that. You know, this will just give you a ton of insight. Of course, you don't want to use exactly what it's putting out, but you want to use it as a base to then sort of make your copy uh, your copywriting more efficient, right? To make your campaign creation process more efficient. That's what I was trying to say. So yeah, definitely use GPT-4 for market research. A lot of people are not doing that, and it's absolutely crucial, especially when you're targeting these more difficult industries, or you're just trying to come with new angles. It makes it really easy. It helps get over the initial writer's block. Next thing is gonna be alternating email signatures. So essentially, what I mean by this is like spin tax email signatures. So to where your name is always changing the signature, your title is always changing, the company name is kind of like changing a bit. You don't have to do a completely different company name or a completely different name every time. You just want to alternate between, like, for example, for me it'd be like between Christian, Christian Placencia, like adding my last name, Christian P, things like that. Having that always switching is really crucial, because if you have the same signature over and over again, that's a point in the email where it's not spin tax, and then you're gonna start landing in spam. Another thing you do is you can just create multiple email accounts under different people's names within the same company. So this kind of automatically spin taxes the names when you're sending those emails. So that's something that's very crucial. This is mostly a deliverability thing, but yeah, you definitely want to make sure you're doing that. Next thing is going to be the 3 word. So subject lines, like, you just want to make sure it's under 3 words. It like people overcomplicate subject lines so much. It really does not matter that much, as long as it's less than 3 words and it's curiosity based. So you're keeping it really brief, and like you just want them to you don't want them to understand the entire email in the subject line. You want them to have curiosity to see it, like to actually be like, okay, what is this about? So subject lines have always worked. something like, like about company name question mark, or question for company name, question for first name, real quick first name, things like that, where it's just like it looks like an internal email pretty much. And you sort of want to, yeah, like infiltrate the inbox with something that looks like an internal email when in reality it's cold email. And you just want to be able to build a lot of curiosity through the subject line through that. You don't want to have some super long subject line. You don't want to make it seem like it's like a newsletter email where you're saying like, amazing offer, like 99% off. Like you don't want to have anything like that. You want to make sure it's, something that it's a subject line that you would use to sort of email a coworker pretty much, right? And that builds curiosity. I wouldn't recommend using quick question because I think it's just washed at this point. I think I feel like, I mean, I haven't tested it because I don't use it anymore, but I would think using the subject line quick question probably gets you like landing spam with the current deliverability issues people are running into nowadays. So yeah, I would definitely avoid that. And then lastly, it's going to be, yeah, email sequences. We're only doing 2 emails. So what I mean by that, it's only one intro email and then one follow up. And reason why we do this is because we found that it's better to just, instead of having 8 follow up, which, after like 3 follow ups, I mean, if you're sending more emails after 3 follow ups, number one, they're probably not going to respond because they've seen 3 of your emails. They're not like, I don't think another 5 emails is going to get them to respond. And if they do respond, they're probably going to be pissed. Or number two, they're going to start marking you as spam because you haven't left them alone yet. So what you can do, so you can have a sequence that's more than 2 emails, but what you need to do is every like 2 to 3 emails at most, you want to start a new email chain and have like a month gap between that. But what we do is just we'll take that same list of people who hasn't responded yet. We'll clean it, make sure that the email addresses are still valid, and then we'll just start a new campaign and then send 2 emails to that. Wait like a month or so, and then just sort of run through it again versus sending 8 follow. Because the thing is also, if you have an 8 follow-up sequence over 3 or 4 months, that person might not even be in the company at that point, right? So that's why you always want to be creating a new campaign and rerunning those lists through a verifier of some sort, right? So yeah, that's basically everything. That's basically the full protocol. Of course, there's nuance as I mentioned before, but yeah, if you follow these general guidelines, I guarantee you, you're gonna have a good script. And all of our best performing scripts ever have followed these guidelines, all of them. So yeah, I hope this helps. If you found it useful, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, cheers.